All righty, welcome in here with Amy today,
Hello.
and uh, it is as we record this, kind of near the end of June, and so we're kind of really getting into summer. Next week is 4th of July here in the States. For those of you who are listening not in the United States, which I think there are at least some of you, big holiday that's on Thursday of next week. So basically, people will not work from Wednesday through, they're going to party from Wednesday to Sunday of next week.
That is
Um,
accurate.
and yeah, so that's a very popular time here. We're kind of getting into the summer. It's the second full week of summer for kind of kids off from school. And so we're kind of diving into the summer season. So this is going to really be about like, what do we do with summer? And setting yourself up for success. So I have a few analogies.
Oh, I love your analogies.
In the bank. So these are going to be related to a lot of the conversations that I've been having, as most of this podcast is, by the way. I don't know if any of you have noticed this, but I kind of choose the theme, particularly for the ones that Amy and I talk about, based on like, I find myself saying this over and over and over to clients. Mm-hmm. Like I've said some of the things that I'm going to say here at least 3 times in the last week and a half, 2 weeks to clients. And so I'm like, maybe this is worth saying to the world at large. Yep. For whoever would listen to this. So want to start with this concept. If you're watching on video, you can kind of see behind me that my gym is, I record this. My desk is downstairs in my basement, and then the other half of the basement, if you're listening, this sounds like I have a very large basement. It is not a big room. Is my gym. So this is a 12-foot by 25-foot basement, and it's basically my office / gym. And I came downstairs on Monday to work out. And I realized, and it's still the case, I left it as a prop for this, if you're watching it on YouTube or the video of this. But if you can see, if you're looking right here, there is still a weight on the bar. And if you can see down there in the bottom corner, there are still dumbbells on the floor from my workout on Monday. And then, so I came downstairs yesterday to work out. And it was enough for me to not work out yesterday.
That there was stuff on the floor?
That there was, because, and this was the level, and this is where I was at from a motivational perspective.
Yep.
I really didn't want to work out yesterday. Mm-hmm. I really did not. But I was like, all right, I can do it. Like, go.
Muster.
Yeah, we can do it. And I got downstairs and I was like, freaking past Jeff, because I needed both of those things.
Past Jeff.
Like, past Jeff, that dude is such a jerk.
He is.
Just a lazy POS. Like, why would you not? Just, it takes 30 seconds to take the weights. First of all, this is a public serving announcement if you're in public gyms. This is even worse in public gyms. But in my gym, I'm the only one who could have done it. Like, it's just me. And I would never do this in a public gym, but I did it to myself here. And it was,
can confirm Jeff comes down on you pretty hard if you don't pick up after yourself in class.
I did it today.
I know, I was there.
The high school kids were going to leave, and I was like, I'm not your mother. Put your weights away before you leave.
Oh,
like,
God,
they were all going to...
It was trashed.
Yeah, I was like, put your stuff away before you leave. Like, I'm not putting all of your stuff away for you. Mm-hmm. But in my gym, and I know exactly what happened. Monday, I was I was finishing up my workout, and I was running short on time from when I needed to go do something. I forget what I needed to go do. But it was like, I'm short on time. Let me just try to blaze through the end of this. And then when I come back down a little bit, I'll strip the weights off and do it. Mm-hmm. Just to save myself, like, just do a quick rapid set through this stuff.
Yeah.
But of course I didn't do it later, because later when I came back down here to work, I was like, oh, I have to work. And that was the pressing matter. And then it just kind of kept on getting pushed off. And so then when Wednesday I came down, I needed both of those pieces of equipment. And I needed different weights than what's currently there. And I was like, I haven't warmed up yet. I'm not feeling like this, and I don't want the very first thing I do to be to lift, the 70, 85-pound dumbbells off the floor that I was using at the, like, when I was rocking and rolling in the middle of a workout. That's the first thing I'm going to do when I come down to the gym, cold, haven't warmed up yet. I'm going to move 85-pound dumbbells out of the way so I can use this bench. Like, no, I don't have a desire to do this. And so that was enough as a hurdle for me not to do it. Because it was, not only did I have to do the workout that I didn't really want to do, but I also had to undo the stuff that I should have done before. I had to do the things that I should have done before. I had to undo the mistakes of past Jeff. And then, this was even worse. I looked over at my desk. And my desk had an empty can, an empty water bottle, a couple papers everywhere, was just disheveled. Because I looked over at my desk, I was like, all right, maybe I'll just start my work early. Didn't want to work because I didn't want to have to find the stuff that I needed to do underneath the pile of stuff that I should have took the 30 seconds that it would have taken the day before to organize.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's because it's a home environment? So it's different? Because I'm thinking I have a home office and I have an office at the university. That office, the desk, I leave spotless and ready to go for the next day. My home desk is covered with, craft
There's a little bit of
and,
public. I'm going to pretty myself up for the public. That was how it used to be when I taught. Like, my desk at school was always immaculate before I left for the day, for the most part. But there was occasions where it wasn't. And so here's kind of the final example of this. Megan and I, most night, but it generally, especially during the school year, it tends to be me a little bit more because of the way that the schedule falls, and she's going to the gym in the evenings or whatever. But every night, and I care more because I'm up first thing in the morning. Every night before we go to bed, we pick up and we do the dishes. And then the day, goes on and all the toys get pulled out and the dishes pile up and it's a disaster, right? But I come downstairs at 4:30 in the morning. I'm the first one up in the house. And so if I walk downstairs, and so because it matters more to me, I tend to be the one who does it more, because for her, it doesn't really bother her. And so it doesn't really feel fair for me. Like, sometimes I'm like, hey, it would be great. Like, it would be loving me well if you did this. But if she has stuff to do, like, she doesn't sit there on the couch while I do it. But if she has work to do, oftentimes she does photography stuff, especially during the school year, whatever it is. Or she's taking care of the kids while I'm picking up or whatever it is. But I care more about it. So I take on more of the brunt of that. And I'm a little bit OCD, and so things have to go where they're supposed to go, and there's a right way to load the dishwasher.
I feel that on a cellular level.
There's a correct way to load the dishwasher, and there's moments where Megan loads the dishwasher, and I'm like, "Are you a sociopath? Like, I don't like, why would you do that?"
So I can honestly say I am not the person in the house who Jengas the dishwasher. Or Tetris is a better analogy for it. John has the spatial reasoning skills I've never seen. So he will spend a very long time rearranging the dishwasher, where I'm just like, plastic on the top, non-plastic on the bottom. But anything else in the house has a very specific place and a very specific way for it to be put away. To the point where, if I have something that's out in use and I go to put it away and there's something else there, I'm like, do you not live in this house and understand that there are places for everything, and you just took my place? And I get very, very angry about it. I think this is something I might need to deal with.
Yeah. No, same. I don't know if I get angry, but I think about the Friends episode with the CDs, and Chandler's all the CDs are in the wrong cases, and Monica has an aneurysm. I'm like, I don't know if I'm at that level, but there's more. For me, particularly with the kids' toys, I know if we're missing a toy.
Yeah.
Based on if it's back where it belongs. You know what I mean? I'm like, if we put them all back where they're supposed to be, I know if we're missing something.
Yep.
And so,
if I should be looking in a kid's room or if they swallowed it.
Yeah, I'm like, no, we're missing the construction man. Like, we're missing this construction man. I know exactly who it is, and so he's somewhere. So, like, and then, I'll find him, 3 weeks later because he's buried under the couch covered in dust bunnies or something like that. But the idea of, like, I'm going to pick up every night because when I walk downstairs at 4:30 in the morning, if I haven't picked up, I'm going to curse past Jeff. I'm going to be like, you suck. And my day is like, starts off from a bad place because I don't, like, none of the dishes are clean. And so I don't have a dish for my breakfast. And I'm, like, pulling stuff. It's like, why? I hate folding laundry. And I can't overcome that. But it's the thing that pisses me off the most because I'm like, I hate having to pull through a clean laundry bin to find a shirt versus the time it takes to just, like, pick a shirt out of a drawer for me or for the kids or whatever it is. And so I just get mad anytime I have to do that because I'm like, if I had just folded the dang laundry, then it would be done. But, like, especially now with all the kids, so all of my kids started daycare. And we are going to get to a point in the summer and everything. I know we're 11 minutes in and we haven't gotten there, but I think maybe you see where we're going here.
Yeah.
But the idea is all of my kids started daycare. So there's 2 days a week now where all 3 kids are in daycare. And one of those days, I'm not at home when Megan gets them all out of the house. And there's another day where she gets them all out of their house by herself. And those are the days that I have to leave the house at 5:30. It was today to get to the gym. And so I wake up at 4:30 and everybody's like, why do you wake up at 4:30? Well, I have to leave the house at 5:30 to teach a class at 6:30 or at 6 a.m. And I also have to, like, make all the kids' lunches and stuff like that because my wife is trying to get 3 kids out the door. And during the school year, she's got to get them out the door and dropped off by 7:10 a.m., which is, if you have small kids, it's a Herculean task.
Absolutely.
And so I'm like, I'm going to do everything I can to make her life a little bit easier here. So I'm going to pack the lunches. I'm going to put all the bags in the car. I'm going to lay out the clothes and all this kind of stuff. But the problem is like, I have a fixed window from 4:30 to 5:30. And so I have to do some of this stuff the night before. Now, it was different previously when I did that because the only one I had to make lunch for was Levi. The twins were going to my mother-in-law's, and so they could go over in their PJs and didn't really need, it was a lot easier to do it. But when they're all going to school, that means they all have to be dressed. They all have to have breakfast packed and lunch packed in their backpacks. So I've, like, the last couple times, I come downstairs in the morning, their lunch boxes are laid out with the stuff, and the, like, things for their sandwiches are right there. So all I have to do is, like, make the stuff that's last minute. Their breakfasts are there. The backpacks are lined up on the counter. Their clothes are already laid out. So I don't have to do all of that in the morning because if I have to find 3 kids' sets of clothes and I wake up 10 minutes after I'm supposed to, I'm going to be late. So setting myself up for success ahead of time makes it a lot easier, and vice versa. Not doing the work ahead of time makes me much less likely to be successful in the moment.
It's like there's a life lesson there.
So, and I posted this last Friday, so it was 6 days ago now, and it was I said this out loud once, and I was like, that was about as good a thing, like, turn of phrase as I've ever come up with, which is, and I've used this example with Decembers in the past, but this is a great example for here, which is if you treat, and so final piece of this is, like, we often do this on Friday afternoons, right? We check out early on Friday and we say, you know what, we'll just deal with it on Monday. That feels like that's Monday Jeff's problem. Like, we'll let that guy deal with it. But then we come in on Monday and we curse our past selves and we say, son of a gun, like, why didn't
that
you
would have
just
taken you 2 seconds to finish? Or
but now I have to do that on top of all the Monday stuff that I have to do. And that's why Mondays suck. Mondays don't have to suck. They suck because we didn't make it so they could have sucked less. Yeah. Like, if you show up on Monday and you're like, I just have to do the things that I have to do today versus make up for the the bonehead moves that you made in the past,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, all right, well, that's the bummer. And so I said, if you treat your summer, if you treat your June like Friday afternoon, don't be surprised when September feels like Monday morning. Because
Ooh,
this
I love
time of
that.
because this time of year, and I'll say it again because I just loved it so much, right? If you
It's
treat
real good. It's real good.
if you treat your summer, if you treat your June like Friday afternoon, don't be surprised when your September feels like Monday morning. And the reason why is I have this conversation so many times with people at this time of year, which is just like summer's so busy. You know, the kids are off and there's barbecues and we're going on vacation for 2 weeks and there's pools and it's nice out and I don't really want to be in the gym and I get it. Like, listen, I 100% get it. Summer is a whole different beast, especially when you have kids.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a
It is.
lot of challenges to overcome with summertime. But the idea of just punting on the whole thing until the fall, be like, I'll deal with it in the fall, is the same thing that happens with December's. And so I said this a few years ago, which is like December is the Friday afternoon of the calendar year, where we just say like, all right, we'll get to it on Monday. But we have 2 of them. We do it in June. We do it for the whole summer. We're like, we'll get to it in the fall. We'll get to it in the new year. We'll get to it on Monday. And the problem is if we live in anticipation of an easier time, there's 2 issues with that. One, the time isn't going to be easier because you didn't set yourself up for success.
Exactly. You've made it harder for yourself. So easy is never going to happen.
No, it's not easy. Like, I'm not going to be happier to clean up my house at 4:30 in the morning than I am at 8:30 at night.
Right.
That doesn't mean I want to do it at 8:30 at night after I put all the kids to bed and dealt with screaming children and all these kinds of things and the whole negotiation, 2 books, no 3 books, no 10 songs, snuggle one more time. I don't want to do it at that point. But I'm not going to want to do it more at 4:30 in the morning. I don't want to put my weights away in that moment, but I'm going to want to do it less the next time I come down to do my workout. Like, I am less likely to want to do it then. And so it's actually going to make it harder for me to do the thing that I wanted to do. And the other piece of it, and this is, if you haven't heard of Alex Hormozi, he's a big time content creator, business kind of, whatever. But his one of his most popular ideas that he's put out there, the way that he phrased it, which is the best time to start something is when it's hard. Because if you can figure out a way to do it when it's hard, when life gets easier, it's going to feel like nothing. Yeah. But if you start it when it's easy, then when life gets hard, you're not going to know how to adapt to it.
Right. That's really wise.
He's got some bangers. He's worth following.
Alex Hormozi?
Hormozi, yeah. Hormozi. Maybe Olivia can tag him down in his
Olivia, please
wife.
Tag him.
Olivia, tag him in the show notes. And his wife Layla. He's like a little bit of a psychopath, like, in terms of like his work ethic. Like he's a self-proclaimed work obsessed human being. He's also like, there's no such thing as happiness, like there's types of things like, what's the point? Like the point of life is not to be happy. Like he's a little bit of that. Like, I just like to work. Like he's a little bit of, if you listen to him talk as a person, you're like, you got some interesting perspectives on the world. But he also has like some pretty banger one-liners and business advice. My Chick-fil-A post.
Oh, I like your Chick-fil-A post.
Is actually kind of inspired by, he did a post about why Chick-fil-A is so good for business. Like Chick-fil-A is the model for business. And I was like, all right, well, Chick-fil-A is the model for fat loss. I took it one step further. I was proud of myself.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Eat that, Alex Hormozi.
Dude, I'll eat Chick-fil-A. Sounds fine.
So good.
Something about that sauce. I know it's not good for you, but my God, is it good?
It's so good. It's so good.
It's just mayonnaise and barbecue sauce. Is that all it is?
I don't know. It's miraculous though. But when we think about this, the summer is the time where we see this a lot, which is like it's not an easy time. It's not a convenient time, and I admit I'll own that. Right. But let's just say you had a body composition goal, for example, right? There's a lot of reasons why, but like, let's just say that you had a body composition goal, because that's a lot of what most people have that we're talking about. Let's just say that you wanted to lose 10 pounds. Let's just, as a real easy example, I want to lose 10 pounds. You will have those 10 pounds to lose in September as well, but you're going to be further away from when you're done. Right? If it's going to take you 3 to 6 months to lose 10 pounds, right? You could be done by the fall. Or you could be starting in the fall.
And then we always find excuses in the fall too. Like, oh, 100%. But the food is heavier and it's sweater season.
Fall, it's sweater season, and then I'm gonna go cider apple picking, donuts. Apple cider donuts, which are like ridiculous.
Oh
like,
my God, they're so good.
There's always gonna be a reason why it's hard.
Exactly.
But the other side of it is, if your reasoning is like, oh, there's vacations and there's pools and there's barbecues and there's all of these things, what's also on the board that happens? You potentially gain a few pounds.
Yeah.
And you go the other direction. Yeah. So now the fall shows up and you don't have 10 pounds to lose anymore. You have 15 pounds to lose.
Right.
And so even if you don't lose anything, even if you lose 3 pounds by September, the swing, let's just say that you lost 3 pounds by September. The swing is from 15 pounds that you have to lose down to 7. It's half. And you've already developed... This is trippy. I don't know.
What's happening here?
I don't know what just happened. I got fireworks. It's the 4th of July. I got fireworks on my screen for those of you not watching. That was crazy.
Maybe it's because you were gesticulating a lot.
I don't know. I don't know if I can make
it. Doing fireworks?
Yeah, maybe that's just doing jazz hands over here.
Okay, Mike, I'm not the host, so it won't do it for me, but try jazz hands. Maybe that.
Try jazz hands. See what happens.
Nope.
No, it wasn't it. I don't know what I did.
But I got you to
but
do
now
jazz hands.
Yeah, you got me to just do jazz hands. There we go. When we think about this concept, right? I had this conversation earlier today with a client, and this is a perfect example. This is a perfect example of this. So she has been kind of out of the routine. She hasn't worked out in a while. She's trying to get back into working out. She's been doing stuff with her nutrition. She's been walking, but she wants to get back into strength training. She's going on a 4-day trip the next 4 days. She comes back. It's Tuesday. Then it's like 4th of July on Thursday. She's not really working next week. 4th of July, and her husband's birthday is Saturday. Right? And so she's like, I'll probably get into, like, start my strength training up the following Monday. I'm like, why not next week? And she's like, well, the schedules. I'm like, there is actually not a better time for you to start than next week. Like, you should start next week. It doesn't mean that it's going to be great. It doesn't mean that it has to look like it's going to look. It doesn't mean that you have to crush it. But, like, you could get 2 more workouts in, but you can also do it with lower stakes. Because you're not working, so you don't have to do it in like this perfect amount of time. And like, oh, I have from 7 to 7:40 to work out, and you know what I mean. Like, you could do it however you want to, and you're also, self-admittedly, and it's not a bad thing, but that this is going to be a higher food volume few days for you, right? You're having like a celebration on the 3rd of July because it's fireworks. 4th of July, you're going to a pool. Saturday, you're doing the birthday stuff. You're coming back from a vacation. Like, this is a higher food volume. So like, let's put those calories to use and do a workout. Doesn't have to be a great workout. Doesn't mean you have to kill yourself, but like, just go move. Like, get yourself familiar with the space again. Like, do the exercises. Just be like, oh yeah, this is how it works. This is the timing of it. This is where everything goes. It's not about the thing. It's about setting yourself up for success the next time you do the thing.
Yep.
So I don't really care about those 2 workouts, but what are those 2 workouts going to do? It's going to make the next week of workouts a lot easier than it would have been otherwise. And you actually probably would have been less likely to stick to it because Monday shows up. You really think that if your first workout in 9 months is the Monday after that 9-day stretch at 7 o'clock in the morning and you have 35 minutes to do it, that's going to feel like a successful workout?
Yeah. No.
The odds are stacked against you. It doesn't mean that it couldn't be. Like, if that was your only choice, you could do it.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, that's going to feel a lot more palatable if that's not your first workout in 9 months, that you get a little bit of momentum going, that you're like, oh, I know what my workout is. I've done it. I know where, my weights are all out, and how do I set up this exercise again? Oh yeah, I can do that. And I know it took me 45 minutes when I did it last week, so I probably need to move a little bit quicker through it or cut a set off so I'm not feeling stressed about it. Those are learning opportunities. And it's not about necessarily that I make a whole heck of a lot of progress or I do it perfectly during the period of time, but it's rather that you make the job a lot easier for future you. It is the fitness equivalent of organizing your desk and your calendar on Friday afternoon.
It just feels good.
It feels
to get
good.
it done. Like, you don't want to do it, but you're so glad that you did. Even as soon as you finish, you're so glad that you did.
Life becomes a lot simpler if we make decisions that our future selves will be proud of. That's another banger.
That's a good one.
So when we're making our decisions, if I'm thinking about, okay, should I work out next week? What will week after next week me think about it? I'm not going to regret doing it, right? And so as we think about the summer, it's not as if we, have to go gung-ho about it, but like, could I make some habit changes?
Mm-hmm.
That even if I'm not losing weight, I'm not gaining it, and I've set myself up well for success in the fall. Hey, what would it look like for me to start trying to have protein with every meal? What would it look like for me to start trying to do a gym routine with some regularity? Even twice a week, I'm going to go and do, 30 minutes. What would it look like for me to start walking every day? I'm just plowing through. I know Amy muted herself because she's like dying, having a coughing fit. She's having a moment. I'm just going to pretend like it's not happening. She's having a time right now. Oh man, this is fantastic. This is why you should watch on Spotify video or YouTube.
I probably should have turned the video off too.
That was outstanding.
That was
a moment.
Oh, I'm sweating now.
That was a moment.
So much.
That was a lot. So we can start with something that's at least going to help us be well set up for the next stage. I can start just thinking through my meals, planning my meals a little bit, because it allows us the structure to dial up a little bit in the fall when the space is when we want to. It doesn't even mean like, oh, it's a better time, but it's just like, oh, I want to more now. Because that's really what it is. It's not that it's harder in the summer. Because it's actually not. Amy talked about it. It's not harder in the summer.
No,
it's just a different hard. That's like saying that 2 is harder than 3. They're both incredibly hard.
They're both hard. They're just different.
They're just different hard.
Mm-hmm. And
there's benefits that come with 3 that don't come with 2, and there's hard that comes with 3 that doesn't come with 2, and vice versa. So we're thinking about like, it's not easier in the fall. We just might be more willing to do some of the extra level things in the fall, essentially. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, it's going to be a little bit easier to say no to certain things in the fall because they're not as readily available or whatever it is. And so I might be able to make some different decisions in the fall. But I can still set myself up with a structure for success.
100%.
So that's kind of macro. And now we're going to kind of get down into like, what does this look like? Because this has been a conversation that I've had a few times, which is, all right, what does it look like for me to do this? I think, and this is, we've talked about this on the planning, like the one about preparation, the one about strategy.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Planning ahead. So this is something I've started to talk about a little bit more of, which is like, we want to make this, and I just said this in a coaching call right before we hopped on this. We want to set a target as kind of our bare minimum target, whatever it is. Pick a couple of habits that are positive habits, things I'm going to do, not things I'm not going to do. Mm-hmm. Because it's a lot easier to celebrate success for something that you've done versus not done for a couple reasons. One, it's a little bit weird to be like, congratulations, Levi, for not hitting your sister. That feels a little odd. Versus like, oh, that was a really nice hug. Good job helping your sister, right? That's a positive thing. You celebrate the positive. But also, if you're celebrating not doing the negative, there's only one moment in time where you can do that. If you're doing a 24-hour, like, all right, I'm going to try not to eat Oreos today. You can only celebrate that at the very end of the day, right? It's like, this is going to sound really strange, but I'm not a gambler, but a buddy of mine, and I started, because he moved to Virginia, we started doing like $2 sports bets on football.
Yeah.
And we would both do an over or an under player prop for a game. We'd be like, okay, you know, Patrick Mahomes is going to throw over 300. And we would always do the over, because the reason you pick the over is, one, you're cheering for success, and two, at some point you hit the over and you're good. If you're cheering for the under, you can only celebrate it at the end of the game. Because the under only hits when there's no time left. If there's still time left, he could still go over. So if it's like he's going to throw for over 300 yards, the second he hits 301, from there on out, he's good. If you go for under 300 yards, he could be at 298 and there's 2 minutes left, and you're like, is he going to get the ball back? I don't know. But like, you're sweating until the very end. It's not as fun that way. Yeah. So we always would pick the overs because it's easier to cheer for positive things. So when we're picking our targets, we want to pick positive things. I want to have protein in all of my meals. I want to have 2 servings of fruit or a couple servings of vegetables every day. I want to drink X amount of water. It's not, I want to not eat sweets. That's tough, right? I want to do 30 minutes of intentional movement a day. It's something that it's like, I did it. Sure, check mark. Yeah. Hooray me. Go team. Self 5, right? We want to be able to say we did the thing. So now, when we have a positive goal, whatever it is, we've set it. We want to set ourselves up for success. And this is, again, we're talking about like bare minimum goals, and we can always build up from there. But like, I'm going to intentionally move 30 minutes a day. That's like a good bare minimum goal, right? Maybe you're looking for more than that at some point, but like, I'd like to move into, that could be a walk, that could be stretching, that could be a workout, whatever it is. I don't care what it is. 30 minutes of intentional movement, protein in every meal. And that's a bare minimum thing. I want to make it almost impossible for that to not happen. Like I have to try really hard to not get protein in all my meals. Like I would have to choose not to eat protein. But I never want it to be a situation where protein is hard for me or not available to me, right? Like I gave the example of like, okay, last minute, we're going to my friend's pool as an example. Gonna take the kids to, or my mother-in-law's pool. All right, we're going to pack PB&Js for them, but I don't have any protein that I can bring for my lunch.
Right.
Right? I was going to make, whatever, a chicken fajita, but I don't have anything. Or I'm going somewhere where I can't heat it up. Like, what am I going to do? I don't have anything. I don't want to be caught in that situation where it's like, okay, I can't do it the way that I planned it, so now I'm screwed. right? We got to be set up for success that way. I've said it this way, is if our plan is so tight that we need it to go perfectly to be successful, we're going to fail. Right? It's like living it's like living paycheck to paycheck. Your budget on paycheck to paycheck. Because if a car needs repair, you're in really rough shape.
Yeah.
So you need some margin in there. You need some backup plans. You need some options. And so the way to think it through is we don't want to have a plan that has to go exactly the way that we want. But we do want to kind of, one, anticipate the inevitable hiccups. We've talked about this a bunch of times, right? Like, all right, I know that we're going to the pool or we're going to the beach or we're going wherever on this day. So I probably need to have something that's portable, right? And then the random things will come up. But if I'm planning for that, then I might have something, right? We're planning for the inevitable hiccups, but then we're also kind of reevaluating in the midst of the time. And so the thing that I've talked about is this. When you think about your week, oftentimes my clients have gotten into the habit of, I send them a check-in form on Sunday. Amy got a ton of these. You get a check-in form on Sunday, and you fill it out, and I get back to you on Monday. And one of the questions is like, what can you do right now to prepare to make it a good week? And oftentimes I'll get people like, hey, I went to the grocery store. I planned my meals for the week. I feel really good. And then the next week, I might get a message from them that's like, yeah, the end of the week has become a real struggle for me. The end of the week and the weekends have become a real struggle for me.
Because you're out of the meal prepped meals and running out of the good food.
Yes. And it's usually not because the plan wasn't good. Like you might have planned through the weekend, but what happened is some hiccups along the way. And you're expecting one day of prep to have the tail of a full week. And that's kind of tough.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna wrap all of this in with a little bit of an analogy here, but I'm gonna start with this. So Megan and I have started doing weekly calendar meetings. I think I talked to you about this on the pod, didn't it? So you have like your big calendar that's like, all right, we're looking 2 months ahead. Appointments are on it, all this kinds of stuff. So like, but then we sit down once a week on Sunday, and we look at the week and we say, all right, what do we, fill in the appointments. When are you going to go to the gym? When am I going to go to the gym? Or work out? When do you want to do anything? Do we have a date night? Do we want to schedule something? What do the kids need? What are we going to do? Right? And we kind of map out the week a little bit. It would be silly to think that that's the last time that we talk about the schedule for the week. You know what I mean? Like stuff comes up. So there was for instance, what day was it? It was, I'm going to look at the calendar. I forget what day it was. It was on Tuesday. It was 2 days ago. We were, I lost you here. Hang on. I went to the calendar and I lost my tab. Here you are. You're back.
I'm here.
On Tuesday, Parker, my youngest son, had a haircut at 4. And so we knew Parker had a haircut at 4. That was on the calendar. On Monday night, we're talking about, all right, who's going to take Parker to the haircut at 4? Like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to break it down? Okay, we're going to all go because the kids are all at daycare that day. You and me are going to go at 3:30. We're going to pick everybody up. You're going to take Parker to the haircut. I'm going to take Levi and Charlie home. We didn't decide that on Sunday. We looked at the day ahead. Like we knew, all right, somebody's going to take Parker to the haircut, right? But we're both around. We could probably figure that out. And so Monday, we looked at the day ahead. And we figured out, all right, what are the logistics? We feel pretty good about it, right? When we get caught up, like too far into it, we end up kind of stuck. So this is why it's worth doing. You have your plan for the week, but then it's also like, all right, the night before, what does the day look like tomorrow? Like plan your meals. Like if you're tracking your meals, like if you're doing MyFitnessPal or whatever it is, track them ahead of time. And then all you have to do is just show up and do the calendar. Like it's like my calendar is set. I don't figure out what I'm doing in the day. in the moment. Like when I know that right after this, I have a call with another client. Like that's what's next. I don't have to like figure out, when am I going to talk to them? It's like, it's done. It's set. It's, but I look at it the night before, the morning up, plan it the day ahead. So then all I have to do is just show up and eat. I planned for 6 ounces of chicken at lunch. What do I eat for lunch? Well, I just put 6 ounces of chicken on the plate. It's pretty simple. All right. But this is where the analogy comes into play. It would be silly to think that the meeting on Sunday has the tail to work flawlessly all the way through. It's like planning for the weather a week in advance, right? It might look sunny next Saturday, but a lot of stuff's going to happen between now and Saturday.
Yeah.
And it's oftentimes not what you planned on Sunday. Sometimes it is, but sometimes stuff happens during the week and you end up not getting what you planned for the end of the week. And so we have to adapt. But if we don't have the opportunity to reevaluate with new information, then we're going to get to Saturday and we're going to be like, well, crap. That's a bummer. So we need to have the opportunity to reevaluate. So this is my analogy. I love the show The Newsroom. Have you ever seen The Newsroom?
I don't think so. Is this one I need to add to my list? You should.
It's a short series. There's 25 total episodes, 3 seasons. Aaron Sorkin's the writer. So if you don't know who Aaron Sorkin is, he's one of the best writers of this generation. He did The West Wing. He wrote A Few Good Men and Moneyball and The Social Network and like famous dialogue person. So he wrote and created this series, The Newsroom. And the reason why I say that is like, this is my understanding of how news broadcasts are done is through this and then through like, you go down a rabbit hole when you're like, oh, this is the inner workings of a newsroom. And then you're like, is this actually how it goes?
Is this
and then
real? Right.
And then you like read about it and everybody who's reviewing it, who works in it, is like, this is exactly how it was. It's like, okay, cool. So there's a phrase, if you have the 8 o'clock news at night, right? You have your lead story, your top story, right? It's whatever the biggest news story of it is, and that's what happens at the beginning. And the idea is you're going to grab eyeballs, right? You want people to come in, right? And so let's just say it's a big event, right? There's, a tornado and, or whatever. It's usually bad news, right? There's very rarely good
bad news.
It's very rarely good news, right? But it's a lead story, whatever it is that grabs everybody's attention, and that's the lead story. So people turn on their news because they want to see the lead story. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's really interesting. That was the first 10 minutes. And then you go and you go and you go. If it's a really big story, they do what's called a reset on the half hour. Meaning they did 10 minutes on the tornado at the beginning. And then what are the people who kind of casually watch the news doing? They might stick around because you do a tease at the end of it, right? Tornado, stick around. We're going to talk about the crazy thing that so-and-so said today, right? And then you're like, okay, but it's starting to fade. My attention is starting to wane 30 minutes into the broadcast. But these people make money on me staying through the whole broadcast. So what do they want to do? They want to recapture my attention. Well, my attention was on the biggest story of the day. So at the 30-minute mark, 8 o'clock news, at 8:30, they're going to talk about the tornado again. And they may not talk about it exactly. They're going to hit the main facts, but they might give it a little twist. It's a little bit different. Pardon the pun. They're going to give it a little bit of a that really wasn't intentional. They're going to give it a little bit of a different angle on it to kind of recapture the attention. They're like, well, what does this mean? Oh, that's really interesting. And so now they've recaptured my attention at the half hour. And so now I'm more likely to stick around for some of the back half of the news broadcast. And I'm more likely to see success for them is I made it all the way through the news broadcast. I kept the viewer's attention all the way through the news broadcast. That's success for them. I had the plan, and it made it all the way through. But what did they do with the plan to keep my attention when it was starting to wane? They did a reset on the half hour, the halfway point, and they recalibrated why I was there, and they brought me back to where I started, but with new information. In light of the other things. What does this mean in the context of the crazy person that said that earlier? Reframing it. So what do? I have a plan on Sunday. Probably worth on Wednesday or Thursday doing a little bit of a reset, a recalibration. Mm-hmm. Hey, what's gone well so far this week? What hasn't gone well so far this week? Have I made the meals that I planned? Why didn't I make them? Can I still make them? Have they gone bad? What do I need for groceries at this point in the week to get me through the weekend until next Sunday when I start again?
Start all over again, right?
What do I do? What's my reset at the halfway point to keep my attention through the end of the cycle that I'm on until I can redo it?
I don't know why I've never even thought of, because I'm also a meal prepper and I prep on Sundays only.
Yep.
And I'm out of my lunches by Friday because I prep them so I can bring them to work and have something healthy without having to run to any, takeout places. But then my weekends arrive and I'm like, I have no dinner food left because we eat it all for leftovers.
Yep.
Either John eats it for lunch or Thursday's our leftover night. We kind of clear out the fridge. So we have very little food left in the house on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And that's when we were like, we either run to the grocery store and get a roasted chicken, which are fine.
Yeah.
Or more often than not, we do takeout.
Yeah.
Just because it's easier and I'm tired.
And you're tired at the end of the week and there's less structure in the weekend. And so if you it's an already volatile time period, right? So again, going back to the analogy, I'm going to take this all the way to the extension. What are going to be the stories in the last half hour, the D, E, and F block of the news cycle? Those are going to be the fourth, fifth, and sixth most important stories of the day. It's already not the best news. It's already not the most interesting thing. So what do I have to recapture attention? Because those aren't that interesting. I'm not set up for success as a news broadcast for the last half hour because those are the least interesting stories. The weekend is the hardest time of the week to be consistent.
Yep.
So I have to set myself up for success as best as possible. If there was a day of the week to try to prep, it should be Thursday.
Absolutely.
Because you're going
always trip up.
Because now you probably have firmed up some of your plans for the weekend.
Yes.
Right? You kind of have a better idea of, hey, what does the weekend look like? Is what I planned roughly on Sunday going to come to fruition? Is it not? So what does this look like? Put in your calendar 20 minutes.
Yeah.
How long does it take? 20 minutes to just be like, all right, let me look at it. Put in your calendar, go to the grocery store. We do 2 grocery runs a week. There's the balloons. We're just going bonkers with the AI tech right? But we do 2 grocery runs a week. We do one on Sunday, and then we do another one on Thursday. I grill chicken twice a week. I grill a batch on Sunday, and that usually gets that could get us through to Friday or Saturday, but it also might be done by Thursday.
Yeah.
And so I plan to grill chicken again on Thursday. And so in my pickup, Hannaford to go is free. If you spend over $125, and I'll spend over $125 if I just look at the grocery store, right?
Especially if you have berries on your grocery list.
Yeah. I have a post that's like somewhere in the it's going to be a moment, like a goofy post of like choosing to feed my kids berries this summer or send them to college in 18 years. Those are the choices. The amount of money I've spent on berries invested over 18 years at 8% interest is enough to send a kid to college. Actually probably is. It probably is that number.
Probably is, especially if you're buying organic, because they're like $9 for a carton of strawberries.
It's unbelievable. We're talking a month. We're flirting with $100 worth of fruit.
Yep.
It's just bonkers. Anyway, but the idea is I'm going to do a grocery pickup today at 3 p.m. I'm going to pick up groceries again for the rest of the weekend because now I have an idea of what's happening. I know what we're going to do. And again, do I do this flawlessly? No, of course not.
Of course not.
But if I can make it harder for me to fail, to do the things that I have said that I want to do, it's just from those sorts of habits can make a huge difference over the summer. Totally. Because what ends up happening is you end up just like not prepping food, and you throw out a lot of food because you didn't use it and all this types of stuff. So it's like, can I think it through a little bit? Can I plan a little bit? Can I get into the habit of planning? Because then when the summer comes, or when the fall comes, I'm going to be set up for success within that. If I'm eating protein regularly, fruit and vegetables, like that's not hard to do. And you might even change your body composition just by doing that, just by eating 2 pieces of fruit, 3 servings of vegetables and protein at every meal.
Right.
You might
was
change
your 3-2-1 3
3-2-1. It's three bottles of water, 2 pieces of fruit, and a big ass salad every day.
Salad.
If you're doing that and then you're having protein at every meal, you'll likely change your body composition just with that, and that's not difficult to do even in the summer, and 30 minutes of movement. But even if you don't change your body composition, trying to do it and getting 10% better before the fall is going to, like, when I leave my desk today, it's not going to be immaculate.
Right.
But it's going to be better than it would have been. Picking up my house is not like a deep clean, but it's the idea that if I can't deep clean, I'm not going to pick up is the same concept of I can't do everything I want to do, so I'm not going to do anything. This comes back to the all or nothing. And it's not all or nothing. It's always something. Like you can always do something. And even just the act of the exercise of preparing yourself within your weekly structure, within your global structure for success, anticipating I'm going on vacation these days, right? Like just giving yourself the moments to do that. And you're like, if you tell me that you don't have 20 minutes to recalibrate on Thursday, again, I would tell you your plan is too tight. Your life is too tight. I'll end with this joke because this is because I think it's related to this. Have you heard of Brian Regan?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So Brian Regan was one of my favorite comedians growing up, and he had a whole bit about Pop-Tarts. And so one bit that he talks about is there's microwave instructions for Pop-Tarts.
On a Pop-Tart?
On a Pop-Tart. He said it's actually true. I checked it. He's like, the microwave instructions for Pop-Tarts are microwave on high for 3 seconds. And his thing is, if you're waking, eating, and hauling with breakfast in 3 seconds, you might want to loosen up your schedule a little bit. Like if it's not alarm, all right, put it in. All right, beep, beep, I gotta go. Here we go. I'm out the door. Like if that's your life, that you only have, if you can't wait to toast a Pop-Tart to leave the house, then you need to reevaluate. If your schedule is so tight, I would strongly encourage you, don't listen to this podcast and take the 20 minutes that or the 53 minutes that you've been listening to this podcast. You could have done a reset and a grocery run or prep some food or do it while you're listening to this. I don't care. But like,
take a walk while you're listening to this.
Yeah. Yeah. You should be walking while you're listening to this.
Yeah.
Or in your car. But if you're in your car, like, all right, then, go to the grocery store. But the idea is, take that time. Like you're spending that time somewhere else. Do a time audit and be like, oh, like just look at your screen time on your phone and you'll recognize that you have 20 minutes to spare.
Oh, 100%.
It might not be when you want to do it. But this comes back to, I don't want to pick up my house at 8:30 at night.
Right.
I don't want to put the weights away. I don't want to put them away right now, but I'm going to. Because I know I'm supposed to work out tomorrow. Yeah, I left them there as a prop, but I'm going to, because the least the chances that I work out tomorrow, if I come down for a second time and the weights are still there, I'm gonna be like, this freaking jerk, past Jeff, just gonna fly through this time-space continuum and punch myself in the face. So make decisions today that future you will be proud of. So whatever that looks like for you this summer, but if you spend this summer just treading water
Mm-hmm.
Don't be surprised that September feels like Monday morning. The worst Monday morning that you've ever had. Monday morning after a long weekend. All right. Good
Nicely
stuff,
done.
everybody.
Nicely done. Also, just in case anyone was curious, the suggested Pop-Tart preparation is to toast it. But you can also put it in the freezer for 20 minutes. Apparently, it's a refreshing frozen treat as well.
I feel like Pop-Tarts are hard enough without being frozen. Like, just break your... They've been in those packages for like 16 years already by the time I get them off the
they're
shelves.
ready for the apocalypse. Oh, you can also air fry them.
Well, that's a popular thing nowadays. Air frying Pop-Tarts. I feel like air frying is like basically the fancy man's microwave. You know, it's like...
It really is.
It's basically a microwave.
Yeah.
But I like my air fryer.
All right, well, yeah. Oh, I love it. I've
started playing with
chicken
it.
in it is so delicious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did chicken parm in the air fryer the other night. It was pretty dope.
Yeah, it's like 18 minutes start to finish. Perfect.
Well, I seared it in the thing, so it was like 5 minutes.
Quick, much quicker.
Yeah, sweet.
All
right. Recipes. All right, see you guys later.
Go try frozen Pop-Tarts.
Listen, rate, review, whatever you do with podcasts, you should do that. Subscribe. Those types of things. That's words.
It.
Buzzwords.
Wow, you are like you're crushing marketing here.
I'm the best marketing person for podcasts in the world.
Oh, man.
Appreciate y'all listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye. Hey, you too.